We are the Equalizers, and today we are going to talk about managing team conflict.
Hi, welcome to Managing Team Conflict. In this section, we will cover relationship, task, and process conflict, types of conflict, conflict management, investment model of conflicts, and Wayman and Donafield's conflict intervention model. Relationship conflict, also known as A-type conflict, is rooted in anger, personal friction, personality clashes, ego, and tension. This type of conflict is more depleting and exhausting than other types of conflict. Task conflict, also known as C-type conflict, consists of argumentation about the merits of ideas, plans, and projects. This type of conflict does not attack the person, but rather focuses on ideas by asking employees to debate and talk. This can be effective in stimulating creativity because it encourages people to rethink problems and arrive at outcomes with which everyone can live with. People who engage in task-related communication cooperate more in mixed motive situations because talking about the task activates thoughts and norms related to fairness and trust. Process conflict centers on disagreements that team members have about how to approach a task and specifically who should do what. Type of conflicts. Proportional conflicts occurs when team members have different ideas about the amount of type of conflicts that exist in their group. Perceptual conflict refers to the extent with which there is an agreement or lack thereof in terms of whether team members perceive conflicts within their team. Conflict states versus conflict processes. Collectivist conflict process is positively related to better performance and more positive affective outcomes. Conversely, individualist processes are negatively related to both performance and affective team outcomes. Conflict management includes 5 choices of action: competition, collaboration, compromise, avoidance, and accommodations. These are the 5 courses of action people take when they find themselves involved in conflict. These actions differ depending on the extent with which people are concerned for themselves and for the other party. Investment model of conflict is based off of Rubin's ELVN models. This model shows the 4 approaches in close relationship people can take when confronted with conflict. E for exit, which is formally separating or moving out of a relationship and in many cases ending all contact. L is loyalty. This is where people passively wait and hope that things will improve. Voice is discussing problems, investing in mutually agreeable solution, and willingness to change. Neglect is people ignoring the other party and are passive. Wayman and Donafield's conflict intervention model includes 4 kinds of interventions and 4 guiding principles. The first intervention is team redesign. This deliberates changes in the structure of team's work. Task process coaching is coaching to help team perform better. Conflict process coaching is intervention to improve the quality of conflict in team. Changing individual, this is individual level training with the goal of making team members more tolerant, thoughtful, and capable. The 4 guiding principles include Principle 1, stated goal of the team. Teams that agree on a common goal or share visions are more successful than those that don't or can't. Principle 2, coaching the team. This method works only if the team is well designed. Principle 3, groups that develop norms regarding how they will manage conflict are more effective than those that do not develop norms. Groups that develop collaborative conflict norms make more effective group decisions than groups that use contenting or avoiding styles. Principle 4. Changing individuals only after the team design and team processes are addressed.
In this section, we will explore how to facilitate conflict that may occur. We will talk about debate versus argument, specifically how healthy debates are essential and arguments lead to disaster. Next, we will explore how to manage conflict through venting and resolving. Finally, we will discuss other strategies that facilitators can use during conflict. Let's start by identifying the differences between healthy debates and arguments. According to Benz, healthy debates are essential. They allow opportunities to hear someone's ideas, listen and respond to ideas even if you don't agree with them. You can try to understand the views of the other person, you can stay objective and focus on facts, and there's a systematic approach to analyzing the situations and looking for solutions. There are techniques that create healthy debates, such as staying neutral, which is something that all facilitators must be able to do. You can point out differences so everyone can understand them, and insist that people listen politely by having rules and creating norms. You can make people paraphrase each other's ideas to provide an opportunity to view different perspectives. You can ask for concerns, focus on facts, problem-solve concerns, invite and face feedback, be assertive, and get closure, then move on. On the other hand, arguments lead to disaster. One way to detect arguments is when people assume they're right. They wait for others to finish talking so they can take over and not acknowledge other ideas. They are also not interested in how the person sees the situation, and people feel attacked or blamed, and hot topics get thrashed in an unstructured way where nothing gets accomplished. Things that allow dysfunctional arguments include joining the argument, ignoring differences, allowing for others to be rude, there's no norm set in place, and team members sidestep or ignore hot issues, which may cause people to get personal or defensive. They squash dissent, stand passively, and let arguments drag on. These are things that facilitators should avoid by managing conflict, which we will explore in the next section. When managing conflict, it is important to allow members to vent by listening to people so they feel heard. Once you have allowed team members to vent, you must resolve conflict using a structured approach to help team members reach solutions. We will look at different strategies that we can use during facilitation to help with venting and finding a solution. There are several strategies a facilitator can use to allow people to vent, which include paraphrasing, asking members to slow down, stay neutral and calm, avoiding loaded words such as conflict or arguing, revisiting and creating norms targeted for conflict solutions, interventions, recording key ideas, being assertive, and seeking permission to move on. When facilitating, allow venting in one of the following situations. First, when people are not receptive to other ideas, they are becoming angry, defensive, or personal with each other. There's glaring or finger pointing. They are being sarcastic or using dismissive remarks. They are criticizing other ideas, or people are withdrawn or shut down. Like managers, facilitators can also use the conflict management approach. It is important to note, however, that these strategies could be used in specific situations. For example, you should avoid something when the issue is trivial, can be solved, or will result in the team shutting down. In most cases, you can use this in 10% of resolutions. Facilitators will accommodate by asking parties to accept ideas, especially when someone is slightly interested in the issue and the other cares deeply about it. It can also be used to determine when someone is wrong. This should only be used in 5% of resolutions. Facilitators can compromise when you need to find middle ground, especially when someone is willing to give up something in order to get something else. For example, someone decides not to pursue buying new technology and instead focuses on other much-needed upgrades. Compromising should be used in 20% of resolutions. Although competing is an option, this is not a strategy facilitators use to settle issues. It will only cause divisions as one member's ideas are deemed superior to the other person's ideas. The best approach to use in resolving an issue is through collaboration. This is used in 65% of resolutions because it is an opportunity for consensus by analyzing facts, generating ideas, then object sorting potential solutions, and agreeing on a course of action. Facilitators can also explore other conflict management strategies such as listening, empathizing, clarifying, seeking permission, and resolving, or you could use the facilitative conflict management process. Both of these processes are very similar to what we have discussed, except in the facilitative conflict management process, you set a time frame for discussion, explain the process to be used, analyze the facts, then generate, evaluate, and plan to implement the highest rank solutions.
This section focuses on how to manage dysfunction as a facilitator and will cover defining dysfunction, identifying specific types, recognizing mild versus extreme, understanding symptoms versus root causes and how to identify potential dysfunctions, strategies for preventing dysfunction and recognizing early signs, and addressing ways to reward functional behavior and review a best practice checklist. Imagine this scenario in a corporate office. You have been asked to facilitate a high-level team of executives to reach a consensus for implementing a new system. The CEO has been in the role for 9 months and the COO was the former CEO. Before the meeting, you spent time to figure out their needs for a new system. During the session, the COO would always speak first, and built-up irritation from the CEO was expressed through an angry outburst, causing uncomfortable silence in the room. As we go through the next slides, think about ways the facilitator could have managed this conflict or prevented it from occurring. Defined in Wilkinson, Chapter 9, dysfunctional behavior is any activity by a participant that is consciously or unconsciously a substitution for expressing displeasure with the session or purpose, the facilitation process, or outside factors. When dysfunctional behavior is ignored, it doesn't go away and can become worse over time. Don't employ the ostrich technique and hope the dysfunction will disappear on its own. Dysfunctional behavior can range from mild to extreme, and when the degree of dysfunction increases, so does the severity of the disruption. Specific types of dysfunction can include being a door slammer, dropout, interrupter, topic jumper, whisperer, and other behaviors that disrupt the discussion or meeting. It is important to get to the root cause of the dysfunction, oftentimes found in the content or process, and understand that the behavior expressed is a sign that the participant is asking for help. As a facilitator, try to remember it's not the person that's dysfunctional, but rather the behavior, and that can be conscious or unconscious in nature. Ultimately, the dysfunction is expressing displeasure that the participant doesn't want to talk about. To identify potential dysfunction, make sure to talk with participants ahead of time and ask for them to share their concerns, perceptions, and likes or dislikes of topics and relationships. As a practiced facilitator, you can help prevent and minimize dysfunctional behaviors. Scan the room often and look for early signs such as silence, complaints, folded arms, crossed legs, and bodies that are facing away from the center. Think about assigning groups ahead of time to a table, using colored tags instead of explicit name tags. Add ground rules that you identify during the preparation stage. Interact with people who are dropping out or don't want to be present. Pay close attention to reactions and hold informal meetings during break to encourage functional ways of addressing issues. As a facilitator, you can employ clean resolution techniques by addressing the root cause through asking questions such as, "We do need your full participation if we can get it. Are we addressing issues that are important to you?" And obtaining agreement on a solution as to how the situation will be handled going forward. In remembering the opening, imagine this scenario, The following strategies could have been applied, such as more preparation before the meeting, holding a private meeting with the COO in advance, address the unease early on, and use a round-robin approach to get everyone's perspective, take breaks, and talk to frustrated participants. When people stop engaging in dysfunctional behavior and show functional signs, you should provide positive reinforcement. You can do this through giving your attention, head nods and smiles, giving the floor when they request it, and provide positive feedback during breaks. Finally, use a checklist to help you manage and prevent conflicts, and remember strategies and pertinent questions.
In today's module, we covered the following. We identified the different types of conflict and classified the 5 courses of action in conflict management. We discussed when to apply Wageman and Donenfeld's components of conflict intervention. We described the difference between healthy debates and arguments and when to apply venting and resolution strategies during facilitation. Furthermore, we defined dysfunction as a facilitator and recognized the symptom versus root cause. And finally, we described prevention strategies. To assess your understanding of what was covered, you will answer 5 questions. You can use a paper and pencil to write down your answers and post the answers to the discussion board. Good luck! Thank you so much for watching our learning module. Remember, we are the equalizers. You got it, we can solve it.